Welcome back to Upon Further Review here with Coach Lindsay from the Bishop Luers Knights. Another great year a year ago. How do you think your kids are coming out right now where you're at heading into here to the month of July where you're really going to start kicking things off here in a couple more weeks?
We've had a very productive off season going all the way back to January. Kind of set the tone as a coaching staff when we had our January meeting, laid out the schedule for the spring, and what our focus was going to be on. We kind of checked the kids and said, hey, if you guys ever want to be that first 3A state championship team to come out of Bishop Luers, you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and take a long, hard look at who beat us. Heritage Hills, they were a machine last year. They were bigger than us. They were more physical. They were stronger. Played with a lot more confidence. So that was our challenge to the kids was to, attack the weight room really hard. We really, between Coach Bradley, Matt Apple, Sports Performance, put together a really strong speed development program that we've stuck to from the jump. And the kids have bought in. We've spent a lot more time becoming better athletes, becoming stronger football players than we have maybe in the X's and O's. But at the same time, we've had a lot of competition this summer. We just finished up a scrimmage last night with Bluffton. We had a round robin with East Noble, West Noble, and Northwood. And then we'll finish our summer next Thursday at South Adams, Mississinawa, South Adams, and Columbia City. So we've had a lot of competition, and the kids have had a great attitude and approach to it. So I'm proud of how they've responded to what we kind of demanded to start the offseason.
Well, let's look at your offense this year coming up. And, last year you had a really good offense up front, was a tough, talented offensive line with some really good running backs. But let's start with the quarterback position. Kind of where are you settled there with, last year you had a kind of a two-headed monster, which I always say if you got two that can play the position, why not? Everybody wants to just have that one guy, but there's always times where two guys have different assets. One may be a better thrower, the other one may be a better runner. So let's take two to make one. But going into this year, what is that position looking like for you?
We got two youngsters, a couple of sophomores compete for a position. I don't anticipate rotating quarterbacks to start the year like we did last year. They're both have live arms, strong arms, both big kids, over 6 foot and growing. I think they both have potential to be really good someday.
Mm-hmm.
The sooner the better for us. But I think as much as anything, we know they can throw the ball. It's developing the intangibles, attacking the intangibles from the quarterback position, the leadership, the confidence, standing in front of a huddle, the communication skills involved in making sure everybody's where they're at, when they're supposed to be there. And then finally, none of that, you can't execute with any of that happening. And then it's important to have that guy at the center of the field with the ball in his hands every snap that can look beyond a mistake that he or a teammate just made on the previous play and move forward. So we've got a couple youngsters that we're really excited about. I can't say one's got a foot in front of the other, but I think we're going to be pretty strong at that position at some point this year. Like I said, hopefully the sooner the better. But one thing that they will hopefully that they've already come to learn is that they've got a very talented, strong, physical, experienced offensive line in front of them with a lot of depth. This is probably the most depth we've had on the offensive defensive lines in a long, long time. So, that's a lot of Friday night experience returning kids that have been to a couple state championships and played in them. And then, a lot of we got the freshman class, this sophomore class. When they were freshmen, they had an undefeated season, so they've got a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Friday night will humble some of them without a doubt. How they handle those moments throughout the years kind of determine how competitive we're going to be in conference. I have no doubt, as the season progresses, that we're going to have a team that's going to compete hard every week. And put themselves in position to win some football games.
Yeah, and this may lead into Dude's question because I know you got some guys going both ways, but up front for you, offensively or defensive line-wise, you talked about that group being another strong point for you again this year. Let's talk about some of those kids that you got coming back. And I don't know what it is, but this year seems every coach that we've talked to thus far has been overly excited about who they've got up front. And I've never really seen that as much in the SAC, where the offensive line and defensive lines are their strong points heading into the season. And so you've got that same talented group up front. Let's talk about those guys, and then Dude's going to take over some defensive stuff.
Yeah, it starts around our 4-year starter and Zach Wall.
Yeah.
Big 7'7". We didn't have him last year until the postseason due to a broken kneecap. Midsummer last year. So, if you followed us throughout the regular season last year and then came out and watched us in the postseason, you could tell it was a completely different offense. Some of it may have had to do with that position and going with Jace heading into that postseason run, but we were a strong running team last year, particularly in the postseason. We had a strong running back in Gary Williams. I think he carried the ball. I think I calculated 25 times a game the last 4 weeks of the year. We're playing championship football. He had the ball in his hands, but none of it's possible without guys like Zach Wall, who started since his freshman year. He's bigger, he's leaner, he's meaner this year. Brings a lot of leadership to the table, a lot of communication runs through him. We're kind of deciding if we're going to leave him out there on the edge at tackle, or if he's going to be a center, looking to play center in college. So that might just be a natural position change that we make for the betterment of our team and for his future. Then next to him, we got Quentin Price, who's a 3-year starter. He's big, he's athletic, best athlete up front, 6'2", 280 pounds, and he can drop, step, and dunk a basketball. Haven't seen many kids with his athleticism, really become very solid offensive lineman. And then Peter Brow's another kid. He's moving from kind of every position up front. He played tackle, center, and guard last year. This year, he's looking at playing tight end because we have so much depth. A lot of youngsters in the sophomore class that are stepping up, some juniors that are stepping up. Peter Brow's another one. Josh Morgan, he's a junior as well. He started since his freshman year at guard. So we got 4 kids that have a lot of starting experience, and three of the 5 guys that we'll start the season with will have had multiple years of playing a state championship game. So, but when you're young at skill positions, like we're going to be, you might see 4 or 5 sophomores on the field at a time offensively for us. When you've got an offensive line that's got an experience, size, physicality, and they play with an attitude, that can kind of take the load off the youngsters.
Yeah, no question about that. And it's always well to have those big fellas moving the piles up front for let those athletes go run it a little bit. But dude, why don't you take me to the defensive side?
Luers coach Kyle Lindsay joined us, the defensive side of the ball. Just talk about what looks like. I know some graduation there, but McKenna Woodson back. I know the name just jumps off the page to me, but also too, I think that run that you guys had towards Lucas Oil, towards the state finals, the defense really came to play, since especially some of those bigger teams that were known to run the ball down the throat. You guys held your own. Garrett, Mechaniqua, Mississippi. Just talk about this defensive unit this year, what you got coming back, and really how that's shaping up this offseason.
Similar to the offensive side up front, football games are, regardless of what the offensive coordinators and the passing game coordinators and these offensive-minded folks like myself say, ball games are won up front behind a strong defensive line and a box on the defense that can stop the run and a team that can run the ball. We return, I believe it's 5 kids from our box last year that started. Start with Jared Taylor and his brother Ale up front. 2 animals, that bring a load of experience, talent. Both of them have a tremendous drive to get to the ball. Their pursuit, they don't take plays off. Their pursuit's excellent. They make plays, and rarely do you see your defensive tackles putting up a lot of defensive numbers, but Jaron is one of our returning. I think he's our returning leading tackler from last year. Had almost 100 tackles, had double-digit tackles for loss, almost 10 sacks. When you have that kid in the front of your defense, and then on the perimeter, you've got an Ale, who's just a big play. Seemed like every other series, he's making a big play throughout the season. I think he had close to 30 tackles for loss, close to a dozen sacks. We're going to be able to get after the passer. You got some kids around him. Those kids are surrounded by kids that have some experience too. Not everybody started, but a lot of them were crucial in our run last year, the last couple of years. Braden Migrant, middle linebacker for us, is returning. He's just kind of an old school. He'll run through a brick wall. He'll hit anything that's moving. Type of linebacker type of kid. Chuck McBride, who's another senior. He's I think he's a stud tight end. He looks pretty average, in all honesty. He's probably 5'11". He might say he's 6 foot. I'll give him 5'11", maybe 200 pounds. But the kid, he's just a ball player. Ask his basketball coach. He's a 5'11", sub 6 foot power forward on the basketball team that won 20 games. And he's just collecting rebounds, playing defense. He's the kid that he'll give us a pass rush. He'll be tough against the run up front. And then, on the back end, you got a Darian Carswell and a Mikhail Woodson that have that starting experience. Mikhail, since his sophomore year at DC. Carswell, he started as our boundary safety. He's not very big, but he's got a lot stronger. He's an explosive athlete. Loves to tackle. So I think defensively, we're in good shape in that. We've got some experience in the box. The two back ends that are in our secondary are both returning. I know Mikhail played a lot of corner last year, but he has a lot of safety experience as well. So we feel pretty strongly that those kids are going to be solid at the back of the defense. So we've got some ball players at the 3 levels.